All right, guys, here we're going to talk about the movie Hereditary.
Hereditary, recent horror movie.
Yeah.
On this series, on this show, we've done a lot of movies that are like fun or old and nostalgic or like lesser known or something like that. Sure. And now we're doing Hereditary.
Yeah, we did the trailer for this at one point.
What did we think of the trailer? Because I have no memory
I can't recall what we thought about it. I think we thought it was a cool idea, but didn't know how it was going to get executed.
Okay, because the trailer centers around the kid, who looks like Cal Penn, who sees his reflection and stuff goes crazy.
Yes, we see him smile and then smash his head and some bullshit.
Yep.
And there's a lot of miniature work in the trailer that I remember was interesting.
Okay. That's cool. They highlight
I love her job. I think that's a very cool thing. I like a lot of things. But going into it, so we saw the trailer, so we knew a little bit.
But like
I knew the lead actress was good because I've seen her in things where I liked her. And that was kind of all I had going
everybody was saying, I'm not a huge horror fan of like standard horror things or whatever. So when I hear stuff about this, I was hearing about this, the same stuff that I heard about the Babadook and the Witch and stuff like that, where it's like, it's a smart horror movie. That's why horror fans aren't bored. This is boring. I don't like this or whatever, right? All that same crap.
I don't like the term smart horror movie.
Neither do I.
That horror movies can't be smart or intelligent or for a less than average audience. It's just that it's thrown around a bit much, and sometimes you didn't understand it. It was a smart, or it didn't make sense. It was a smart
No. I think whenever you're calling something smart, you dangerously.
It's a pretentious term.
I was just gonna say you can head into the pretentious zone very easily or whatever, and it gets weird or something like that. I think what people mean is that this is not a. I just had the word in my head. Gratuitous. There's a better word.
It's not just a jump scare slasher horror guts kill 'em kind of movie. Right. It has a plot. Is how I would describe it.
Or I would say it's like a movie that has horror stuff in it. It isn't just a quote unquote it isn't like a theme park ride of like a movie. It's like a movie. And to single out horror, we've talked about this before. It's just because of how young filmmakers start out making horror. Like every genre, comedies, action.
It's an approachable, forgiving genre. Don't take advantage of it.
Every genre has examples of movies that only exist to do one stupid thing, and they're just a roller coaster, and you get off and you go, I forget that, and you move on with your life or whatever. It's just that horror seems to get more of whatever for it. Probably more movies exist, maybe, is like the whole problem.
Yes.
But going into this, so I was excited about it. I'm like, oh great, I get to watch this movie that's supposed to be like whatever you want to call it, smart or not just whatever.
I was like, all right. My girlfriend was very interested in this movie. She went out of her way to get it and to watch this thing, and sat me down to watch it as well. Okay. And I was like, all right, let's do this. And
so the movie, as may or may not have been pitched in the trailer, I don't recall this from the trailer.
What's that?
But the mom dies.
I don't know if that was in the trailer.
Yeah, in the aftermath of that, you have a family with some messed up issues, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, families dealing with death and how things can go left pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So trying to solve your grief.
Yeah, I guess to avoid spoilers for one more, 10-second period, I guess, things, continue to unravel. You're not sure what is real. Things get worse and worse. You find out about the mom's history and who, what, and how that might fall into play. And eventually, things end up really crazy.
Things go off the rails.
So now, spoilers.
Yeah, we
for
are definitely in
Hereditary, the
spoiler
Babadook,
zone.
the Witch, every movie that I've mentioned, there will now be spoilers for all of that stuff.
All right, so I thought this movie was entertaining.
Yeah.
For the first 90% of the movie, I was like, okay, we got something here. We're going somewhere.
Oh yeah.
And then I thought very quickly it seemed as if they didn't have a proper ending.
Right.
And they were like, well, how could we end this? And they're like, well, we threw in one line from a note that the mother left that said, this was all for you or some bullshit.
Yeah.
Let's not explore that until, where the movie's almost over. And then just kind of, sum it up.
Yeah, our sacrifices will pale, against our rewards or whatever it was.
Yeah, some bullshit.
Yeah.
And you're waiting for that, at least I was, for quite some time. I'm like, okay, she obviously did something. This is some bullshit. Something's going to happen, la-da-da. Very quickly, and I don't think there was any foreshadowing. The moment she kind of met that lady, I was like, well, that's a friend of her mom's. It just...
Right.
It just seemed very obvious, and I said it out loud, and my girlfriend's like, "Shut up!" Like,
well, you shouldn't. If someone else doesn't want to play guess the ending for the whole movie,
I thought it was. My comment was more so on like I hate when they. It's like when you see a character that's like delivering a line that seems like they're reading from a cue card. That's what it felt like to me, and I was like, obviously this is that, thinking that we would get a little laugh together, but no, it didn't. It did not go over in that regard.
No, like my standpoint is, I'm usually not trying. I'm like actively not trying to guess. I'm just looking around, trying to gather the clues and trying to figure it out. Because you know, when I was younger, that was always the thing, was trying to guess the movie. And I kind of realized, like, all right, I'm not really feeling the movie the way they might have intended. Because I'm kind of like, during Fight Club, I turned to my father because I was so young. We would watch a movie with like your like your family, and I was like, wait, is he real? And my dad was like, what? Because he had seen it already. This was like super early in the movie, and he looked at me like, what? Watch the movie and find out. Like he had this super like instant reaction of like, what the fuck, what?
I throw out things all the time in movies, especially if I'm just watching with friends goofing off.
This is fun for you. This is like what you like to do.
But it's not even. I don't feel like I'm not trying to guess what's happening. Yeah. It's that certain things remind me of an old cartoon where one brick is a different color, and I go, well, that brick is gonna move, and I you'll just make that comment.
No, I totally
like in the opening of Saw, I was like, well, that guy's not dead, and my two friends who had seen it were like, are you fucking kidding me? And I said that almost as a joke, like that would be the most obvious thing that could be happening.
Right.
And then their reaction made me know I was right.
I know.
But that so for this, I thought that she seemed very obviously, not just a innocent good person.
No, but like whether that's true or not, it's a different thing to think it. It's a different thing to say it. It's a different thing to go all those directions out there. Personally, like in retrospect, she's not part of the group therapy, or if she was, she doesn't remember like the way she meets her outside and all that stuff. I was still on this whole tract of it's called Hereditary. At one point, the mom indicates that this mental illness runs in the family.
Yes, that's a total throw you moment.
So whenever anything happened where it was just the mom. Right, because that other woman approaches her outside of her group therapy thing. So it's just the mom, and then she runs into her in the parking lot, and it's just the mom. And then she goes to her apartment, and it's just the mom. Anytime it's only the mom there, I'm like, this is unreliable information, and maybe later we'll find out. So later, when she's banging on the door before the camera goes inside, and it shows you Satan worshiping like candles and shit, I was like, oh, someone else is gonna answer the door. Like, ma'am, what's wrong with you, or something like that. Oh, this is awesome. I was so into this mental illness plot line, and finding out that the mom had really been doing stuff the whole time. I was super on board.
Well, and they set that up too with
of the whole thing.
They were covered with gasoline and blah blah blah, and the kid saying you were grabbing my head and things like that.
It was awesome.
I think that paint a picture.
This totally, and it's not. It's not worth it for a misdirect to put in naked Satanists or whatever.
No,
I was very upset by that.
We're
skipping to the end.
So yes, you've now let them out of the bag.
I've opened the can of the worms.
So there's a naked old person in the living room. There's just one in the closet.
Some smiley
and
fuck.
So that happens, and they make it it's like a pan across. You don't see it for very long. And I'm like, what the fuck was that? Naked smiling. Was that a man? Was that a woman? Is that supposed to be the grandmother? What was that? And there was for a couple of minutes before you have another.
I paused this movie.
Oh, you cheater!
Because I was like, what am I looking at? Because the angle of my TV, where I kind of watch it on a couch, and I'm sort of at this angle or something.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of glare, and I was like, I'm like, I think that's an eerie smiling naked fuck. And I paused and got up and got my face all on the TV looking at different angles, and I'm like, it is. What is this movie? What's happening? Oh my god! It was this whole thing.
So that happens, and it's a. I didn't pause.
I took a break. I went to the bathroom. I'm doing my taxes. I'm like, I can't live like this. What is this?
So I'm like, what the hell is that? Because it's like a blonde. I couldn't tell if it was a guy or a girl.
It's like someone's lawyer or something.
But I'm like, is that the grandmother? Is she not dead? Is that not who's in the ad? What the hell is that? And
yep.
And then the next time you have anything remotely like that, it's when the mother is cutting her own head off with a chainsaw, a chain saw, and past the point of that being possible, and she's floating, right? She's not hanging by anything.
I don't know if she's supposed to be hanging or what's supposed to happen.
Regardless,
this is the off-the-rails portion of the movie.
And the kid turns, and there's 3 now smiling, and he runs out of the window and just falls to his death, presumably.
My favorite part, real quick, my favorite part about that scene is he sees, as you say, his own mother pinned to the ceiling, cutting her own head off, faster and faster, blood squirting everywhere. He's like frozen. Naked people, though, I'm out, and fucking runs out of the building. Yes.
But honestly, of the things, that's the unexplainable thing.
That's the weird
where it's
thing.
like, were you sitting there silent this whole time? When did you get in here? Who the fuck are you? Why are you so creepy? Why are you naked? Are you an albino? What's happening?
Why is everyone so naked?
So for me, the movie should have just ended when he jumped out of the window. He should have just fell to the ground, and it should have been like, dun, 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 and it crashed. And because that's as much of a like what the fuck kind of ending.
Sure.
As I'm almost ready for. So then what does happen, though, is he gets up.
He gets possessed.
Yes.
They show the dancing light again.
Yeah.
Go into him or whatever.
He gets up. You hear the click sound, so you know it's the sister.
His tongue.
Goes up into the treehouse.
Real quick, before that, he looks up from like the ground, and he sees the mom's headless body like float.
Oh yeah.
I laughed out loud at that. Any of the creepiness, and we're going to talk more about some of the stuff early in the movie was so effective and so creepy, and I was so on board and I was so into it. All of it was destroyed by this Mary Poppins headless, just like floating up into the treehouse.
That wasn't the first time that happened.
Most horrible
Earlier,
thing.
the mom did that. She was like, and just like swam across the fucking earth, she just did this hovering swim to get up into a corner, and I was laughing at that. Where I was like, "What the fuck is that?" Because you have this great movie.
I didn't see that for some reason. I just saw her up and like.
Yeah, it happened twice.
It's like goofy that she's on the ceiling. There's some other stuff that's goofy or like whatever. I didn't see the part you're talking about, which would have. But first, just from my perspective, just the headless body, just hovering up there, was so. Did not work for me.
A lot of bits toward the end did not work for me.
Right.
And that's what's so kind of upsetting is that this movie, I wasn't like, I love this fucking movie, but it had so many interesting things happening for the first 75% of the movie that I was like, no, you kind of have me very interested.
Super interested.
What would be the exact moment that it went off? I think from the moment the husband died, it might have gone off the rails.
That is the off the rails point.
I was like, wait, what the fuck is happening? This is bullshit. Like, come on.
But the flying headless corpse made me go, okay, well, this is I'm not gonna have nightmares tonight because this movie's a joke. I'm done with this movie.
Yeah.
Which is bad. And then so it's like, okay, now is like the payoff. Now the kid climbs up into the treehouse, and like in my head, I'm like, all right, 3 heads. We have 3 headless things. The ritual needed 3 heads or something, right? It's got to have 3 heads, but it's not. It's
well,
just,
they said, wait, how can we go as far off the rails as is humanly possible?
Well, so it's just 2 headless corpses, more people praying, waiting for the ritual.
How big is it up there too? Jesus.
I don't know what's happening anymore, but it's Paimon. It's like the altar. It's the thing. They put a crown on him, and then as if you test screened this movie and no one knew what the fuck was going on, you dub in an entire speech by a character who doesn't exist. Like, the friend of the mom doesn't come back. No one else is there. Mm-hmm. There's no closing of the circle with any of that happening or anything, or like whatever. You just have all this dialogue dubbed in about the plot of the movie, which is like, oh, Paimon was in the daughter, even though I guess she was possessed, but was that when, what? And now it's in her,
I took it as,
or whatever.
In closing, Hereditary meant that demon just passes on from people to people in that family. So it was either like, her brother who committed suicide or whatever, or it was the dad, or like, whatever.
Well,
and then it's,
like this has happened before, perhaps, sure. But I didn't understand the bit about how, so like, they're addressing him as Charlie now. They're like,
yes,
Charlie, don't be scared, you are actually Paimon, etc., 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 right? So I didn't know if for that daughter's entire life if she was possessed, and if so, she doesn't know that she's the 8th god of hell.
It appeared that she did not know, but she did have like a relationship with the grandmother.
Yeah,
I don't know what was that shit when she saw like the grandmother in the fire and the whatever. I'm like, was that happening? Like, because it puts into question a lot of things, because it's a weird demonic thing, like when she was cutting the head off the pigeon or whatever. Remember?
Oh god, when she saw like like in the field, the flaming stuff.
There was a flaming circle with her grandmother there and some bullshit. So.
And then the mom comes to get her, but doesn't seem to react to that thing over there.
Yeah.
So I guess it's not there. I don't know. But how could this poor weird kid not know that they're the reincarnation of this ancient Lord of Satan
I thought
thing?
that was a big mistake on the movie's end to do anything like that. That's why I'm like, where could you have, if assuming you're not going to rewrite the whole movie and change from when the father dies on, I'm like, how could you save this? And I'm like, I think when he jumps out of the window, I would just call it.
You would save it by just like removing most of it.
Yeah,
sure.
I think because it would be then it's just an unexplainable what is this?
So I definitely think that the dubbed in speech is like test screening reaction.
Yes.
Right. So I tried to imagine how would I have felt if they would have just put the crown on him, the music swells, it cuts back to like the weird shot of like the tiny room, and they're all praying to him. Would that have been better? And I'm like,
no.
I think it might have been slightly better because I wouldn't have had all these weird questions about like, wait, but the kid didn't know was she possessed or was she this? And then he's possessed, and like he wants the host, and we saw the book that was like he wants a male host, but then why'd you put it in the daughter? Because you couldn't have put it in the son, because the daughter was like there, and was he too old? Because why is he not too old now?
My thought is it got put in the daughter because she said early on, I let her have no contact with my firstborn, and I brought her back into my life.
Right,
and that was a mistake for my second one.
100%.
So that's in
and
quotes
she immediately got her
how,
hooks in her.
Yeah, that's how that happened.
Of course,
but it's like kind of dumb, and it almost takes away all the. Cause actually, you care about that daughter character. Like they do a good job to really humanize her and make the situation you feel it, and you're like, oh man, how horrible of a situation that this person is into, and you could feel that the brother's in shock, but you know, and then you're like, oh god, the body, you just parked the car, oh man, the parents are gonna, and then the mom realizes, and she's fucking freaking out.
I love that part of the movie.
And like that's an effective tool.
That was one of my I have several my favorite parts of this movie that I thought were so good, and that was my favorite thing. Like the way it was constructed, like this is the dude who directed this is like first big feature movie or something like that. First thing that doesn't say short next to it or whatever, I think first or second. And like he takes his foot off the gas pedal, the car starts moving again. You're not sure what's going on. He gets home. It's like the same shot that they've shown cars a lot of times. His head on the pillow and like the light swelling of like the sunrise and his eyes just staring. And then like you start hearing the mom screaming.
Oh, I got some balsa woods.
And it gets he's like louder and louder and all that stuff. And just that whole thing. It like reminded me of that story when that woman hit the homeless guy and then just drove home or whatever. But still, super like effective. And then like it cuts from like him standing in the hallway like in shock, not knowing how to react to this, and like her crying. It cuts to them in the exact same poses at the funeral.
Yeah.
Like super good, like filmmaking stuff.
But like everything about that gets thrown out of the window when goofy bad shit happens. Like I don't think you ever needed
Satanists.
Well, I think. Well, hang on.
Okay.
So if you're gonna go a direction, right? You can go the Satanist-y direction because you've painted enough in that regard where that could happen. You could go with the unreliable protagonist type of thing, and you could just have this is all in her head, and she's broken over grief and she can't deal with it. And the hereditary nature is that they have a prone to psychosis of some sort. You could do this weird ghosty thing that they're doing, but like I don't think they can do that well enough to justify it. Because it's weird. Everything that got into this supernatural realm past the actual seances. So like I thought some of that was okay. That was creepy. The writing in the book on its own, I'm like, okay, whatever, things like that.
Exactly.
But I think once you started the thing where like, oh no, now I'm like possessed and I'm cutting my own head off and I'm chasing you around and I'm doing this, and I was like, what exactly is causing this?
The other thing I laughed at is when he goes into the attic and she is like
banging her head.
She's on the ceiling, like rapidly hitting her head on the door, and like part of me, I was like, is that creepy?
Anything that I'm like, how is it happening? Because you're taking me out of an actual reality. It's no longer in like a for some reason, I have no problem with, like, I turn and in the mirror, I see a different thing that's happening. For me,
Right.
I'm like, oh, that's creepy, and that's all right, whatever.
Right.
But when I'm like, you're floating or something, like you're Spider-Manning yourself to the ceiling and
why are you on the
thumping?
ceiling? That doesn't work for me. Like, so much of the movie's from her perspective, and then after that shift, like, once the dad dies, you see the dancing, I'm calling them the dancing lights. You see it
I'm
again,
fine with that.
and, like, her face changes, and then it's like, okay, she's possessed, I guess, by the thing? Wait, the daughter and then the thing, but why is the daughter still, because earlier she was possessed by her daughter, and she was like, why is everyone so scared? What's going on? It was all creepy and
Yes,
stuff.
meaning
So-
the daughter actually has a personality and exists.
So, like,
Not just a hell demon.
right, and then when the boy is possessed, the like cultist is like, Peter, she's like exercising his original soul to like make room for Paimon or something like that, implying that you have a like dormant possession that you have to like flip it or something, whatever. But then that doesn't make sense because later like after he jumps out the window, the lights like go into him or something like that. So
Yeah.
that means it was not in him. That means it must have been like in the mom. So if you can just possess someone and turn them into Spider-Man that can fly around and cut off their own head, then like how is this even so hard? Why did
That's
this take
the
so
thing,
long?
is that
it doesn't make sense, right?
The level of intensity on how things go from like 0 to 100 mean there's no challenge at all. You can't win, and it's not a movie anymore. And ultimately they do lose, but they lose in a long, drawn-out fashion when it could have just been like a, you lost.
All of the stuff that turned out to have been set up, like, oh, you have to read this spell, but make sure your whole family's in the house.
Yes.
And all this weird
It's like,
setup.
well, why?
All these cagey, like, tricks to get her to do something. It turns out you can just directly do, like, it's, I don't know.
And maybe it's
we have
because
this complaint a
the
lot.
key got turned on her reading the spell and unlocked everything.
Yeah.
But like, and that was another one. If you weren't sure that lady was bad, when she says like, just read this thing you didn't see me read, that's all, I'm like, yep.
Yeah. No, I know. And, like, the line, make sure your son's, in the house. I was like, okay. Right? Because the daughter died, and the grandma says we have to make sacrifices or whatever. That's what I thought was, like, sacrifices or whatever, like rituals, and she's be alive or something else or whatever. So, like, it didn't even, I mean, I guess it's nice to not have it be what I expected, but it was weird to have it be like, oh, it's that? And just still now, and, like, it's been, like, a little over a day maybe, or less than a day, whatever. I'm still like, wait, so why are they talking to him like he's Charlie now? Because Paimon was Charlie. But then why? What? I'm doing
It's like
all
the end of
this stuff.
K-Pax. Pete is Prute, and Prute is Pete, and I don't.
I didn't see K-Fax.
Well, I should see K-Pax.
No, it like, I shouldn't have that feeling. I should have this sinking feeling of like, oh no, it was all planned, and like, when they thought they were like doing extreme things to get out of the situation.
Yeah, they were actually opening doors.
It was just deeper and deeper, right? That's the angle with the Satan cultists or whatever, right?
I think the issues really start in the movie the moment they make the daughter go to that party.
Really?
Well, because it's like,
That's very early.
no, like, and I'm not saying that the issues, like, it's like, we're now in issue territory, but
Yeah.
like that's where the things start to be like,
That might be the
oh,
first
you
issue.
forced a dynamic here. Because just think about that. You weren't naive enough to say that this child is actually going to a school barbecue.
Right.
You told him not to drink, meaning this is an actual party,
Yes.
and this is the safest place to send your 12-year-old handicapped daughter.
Yes.
I don't understand. Like, why would you want her there anyway? Like, you'd think you'd be like, no.
He calls her out later, though. He's like, Mom,
Yes, he does.
why was she at that party? Can I just say, I have some issues in my family I'm not going to get into, but there are some interactions with this family that are, like, so good and, like
Well written.
made me, like, fucking, like, have, like, emotions and, like, react and all that stuff. Even, like, just taking this, like, thread forward. When she's, like, telling him to take her, when he's like, but I already said no, like, and she said, well, I'm just asking you this. All, like, the dialogue and, like, how it's so whatever. Later when they're at the, dinner table, like I'm talking about, where he calls her out, how there's the yelling and, like, the dad's like, stop it, and then she storms off and all that stuff. That's like an extreme version of like a really authentic like thing that I was really, really into. And again, if she's mentally ill and then the kid's mentally ill and the dad's breaking down, like he almost runs a red light and just starts crying. Gabriel Byrne, like awesome.
No, he was
his
great.
performance, when he turns and he's like, you know what? I'm not gonna do this anymore. You know what? And he's like, you dug up the grave, didn't you? This is this is just more your shit. And she's like, no, and like going crazy and all this stuff. So much key things things happen off camera where I thought this was really going to be this awesome thing of her being crazy
It would have
and
been
everything
better.
being so good. I was like so into it, and I thought they were doing everything perfectly. Like you talked about when he's like, you were trying to pull my head off or like whatever, right?
Yeah.
It cuts back to the room and she's already right next to the bed. So, like, you as an audience member never get to see whether or not she walked into the room and he was having a nightmare, or if she was actually sleepwalking and, like, doing something to him, and they're both just accusing each other, and, like, you don't know who to believe, and it's awesome.
Yeah, for having
it's so
such
good.
ability of misdirection to just throw that away, I thought was bad. And, like, a lot of good stuff is in this movie.
At the end of the day, you have to pick a thing that it's going to be, right? I think that's where a lot of this stuff fails. A lot of horror for me. I've talked about this before, like when the killer turns out to just be a dude, and then you're like, wait, a dude can't do that.
Like, how did he do that?
Right?
We saw him here and then there. Those are miles apart. He ran. Like,
right, like how did the dude know about this?
He changed like that? Yeah,
how did the dude not know, like do that without making noise? How did the dude sneak into this? How did the dude know you were going to open the shower curtain? Like, how does a dude do all that or whatever, right? Or it's a ghost, and then they or like a demon or whatever,
something.
and then they show it doing stuff at the end, and you're like, well, why were we like playing with our food for like 90 minutes? You're just this powerful creature or something, right?
And that's kind of what this was.
It's so rare that a horror movie actually can be like, well, at the end and like do something. You know what I mean?
And again, I wanted it to be that because this movie had many points where I actually like felt something.
It's really well
done.
Like
when they first get to the party and you see somebody chopping up nuts.
Yes.
I immediately was like, oh God, she's gonna die of fucking nut allergy.
I know.
And then you're like, oh, maybe not. And then they're like, oh, go get that cake. And I'm like, well, I don't see it on top of the cake. I'm like, maybe it was totally unrelated.
Right.
But apparently it was chopped up and put in the cake.
Yeah.
Or just close enough. She could be that allergic.
And they show her eating candy.
Yeah.
Like, everything is set up so well, like as a film.
I kept going, where the fuck are you getting this candy from?
She would just have candy, and yes, it's like on the nose, and like yes, if I tell you, oh, the parents earlier get all concerned, are there nuts in that? And then someone's dropping nuts, it sounds bad, but it was presented in a way that
it was done.
felt
It was
really
done
good,
decently because
right?
it wasn't. They didn't hang on the shot. It was just like a part. Oh, I'm prepping, having a party. Like it felt very natural.
I was just gonna say natural because then when he's talking to that girl and she's like, "Why are you talking to me?" and then he's like, "I have weed," and then he's like. I can't just redo the whole scene for you right now, but the whole flow, how he treats his sister, how he goes upstairs, how there's like more dudes upstairs, and he kind of has a look on his face like, oh, I didn't think there'd be
there's a bong up there with people
dudes
just waiting.
with like people, and she's like, oh, Peter has weed, and he's like, oh, like I thought this was gonna be like, and then he's like, fuck, but okay, we'll ride it out. It's it's okay.
Yeah.
And then the way she comes in, because she's not like, I'm having one of my reactions. She's like. So, something's wrong, or I'm like, oh my god, like this awesome
and you
thing.
knew her head was coming off the second she put her head out the window. I was like, oh man, I felt really bad because I'm like, it's a young girl, I don't want anything bad to happen to her, and then bam, gone.
Something very bad.
I had to do a deep dive on that girl because I was like, what? Because
what's wrong with your face?
I needed to know her whole thing, and
what's the deal?
The best I could come up with she has some condition that her brother also has, but it didn't. It didn't say it by name. But it looks like it was played up more in this movie than in that.
Okay,
because she does like a theater and this and that. And, it didn't seem like it was a thing. Like almost like when you watched Breaking Bad, and you're like, is that kid just a really great actor, or
does he actually have like CP or whatever?
Yeah.
No, I know, and like I did the same thing very lightly.
And she's like 23, I think.
What?
I think she was much older.
Oh no.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure she was like in her 20s.
I went on IMDb though and pulled her up, and like her headshot doesn't look. It looks like something's off. Let's be delicate or whatever, but it doesn't look as bad as in this. Because I think in like the trailers for this, it was like, who's that little goblin in the movie or whatever. They definitely did something to make her look like worse or something like that in in this movie. Yeah.
Yeah, but I enjoyed. I think she might have been like my favorite part of the movie because her scenes were extra creepy and her cutting the head off of that shit. And it's how she's just building toys nicely and doing things.
No, she's like crafting and doing all this weird stuff, which I thought would have something to do. It turns out Paymon's the god of mischief, so later you're not even like wait, does that have anything, like, it's such a weird...
It doesn't make a lot of sense.
It feels like something swooped in at the end and, like, made the movie into something that it wasn't. Because everything is so meticulous. It's so planned out, it feels like. Maybe it's not. But it feels so good,
No, but it does
right?
have that plan, like, and it kind of follows this, almost like how The Mother's Profession. It's a very detail-oriented. It does this thing. It has a set path, a design, and then it just goes like, fuck that for the last 25%.
Smashes it.
Yeah.
When she smashes all of her stuff, it's like smashing the whole structure of the movie. That can't be intentional, but it kind of feels like it.
I think
That's
it's more of a chime in from a studio to fuck a good concept.
I feel like
I didn't do a dive on this one to really look.
Yeah. So like that dubbing at the end, that's like a pet peeve of mine. Whenever you hear things and you don't see people saying it, obviously this is used in movies intentionally. But
sure.
I always hate when okay. To the point earlier, I watch a movie actively trying not to think. Like, did they not have enough money for that, or are they cutting away to be tasteful? Oh, did they not have this? Why did this happen? Like, I try to think about all that after the fact, right? So if during a movie something makes me think, oh, did someone say, like, we have to punch this up, make a joke, but have it off camera? Like, it always gets to me and pulls me out of stuff. Yeah. So at the end, they're like, Hail Paimon! Hail Paimon! And it cuts to the wide shot, and they're still saying Paimon, but no one's talking. They're all just, like, silently, sitting there. It was awful. And the fact that the speech gets delivered by a non-character and not the mom's friend who should have been there. She should have been there in a robe.
She should have been presenting this fucking thing.
Like at a pagan wedding. She should have been there in a robe with, like, dream catchers hanging from her. Like, oh, it's finally happening. Oh, and all that stuff. And that could have been the reveal for all the stupid people who didn't pick... Well, they show all the pictures and do all that.
Okay. There's nothing to...
So I don't know why. Again, not a micro budget, but a relatively small budget movie, right? Like $10 million, I think. Did you peep that?
I didn't look much into this at all. Too new.
It's an A24. It's another one.
A24.
Where the movie takes risks. The movie's well done. The movie has a lot of potential that it doesn't make good on. I want to see what else this person does.
A24 has a lot of things in the pipe at the moment.
They're one of those new hot
every trailer before
things.
This is an A24 trailer.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, they actually have some stuff here, and they were all in line with this movie, like all the trailers. And only one of them was old, and one of them was like for The Witch, and then there was some Andrew Garfield one and some interesting stuff. And I was like, all right, I like what A24 is putting out, at least in this constrained, showing me of the things that are related to this picture.
I think overall they're like a genre film house. They're like putting out interesting, weird stuff that wouldn't normally get the big push, it seems. They were that It Comes at Night thing, right?
Yes.
I didn't see that, but that's another one people say is smart. I've had a good batting average with this. I liked The Witch a lot, even though I didn't love some parts of it. I thought it was really well done.
That's my A24 walkaway, is that I think they generally have a great concept. I think they have great ideas.
Yeah.
And they execute on them at least half the time. And then there's usually a twist at the end where I'm like, oh,
it's
okay.
That. No, I know, and like...
That was my Witch ending, too, where I was like, oh.
Should we spoil The Witch? Should we talk about The Witch for a minute here?
For a minute, if you like.
So kind of like this, The Witch, right? The problem with The Witch is that witches are real. They show some witches, and for a while, it's like, is this just what's-her-name, Thomason, like dreaming that? Is she just imagining, oh, someone's eating that baby somewhere, I fucked up or whatever, right? But then by the end, you're just like, oh no, witches are actually just literally real.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not good. And I read online, or I saw something online that... technically, there's still all this room for the ambiguity, and she's not a reliable protagonist or whatever that stuff. So I was kind of like, okay,
Didn't her brother also interact with the witch?
There's like 3 or 4 scenes where there's just a witch. Yeah. And everyone reacts like, oh no, there's a witch there. And like, I wanted that movie to be a movie where by the end of it, you didn't know if witches were real. Or if everyone just went crazy, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like...
The going crazy and the like that was the best parts of that movie.
Yeah.
And those creepy-ass twins, and was it Black Thomas, Black Adam? What the hell was that?
Philip?
Black Phillip?
But, like, yeah, all of, like, the accusations and, like, the weird subtext of, like, the mom being jealous of the hot daughter and shit like that are really good, really, and, like, it was filmed really well and acted really well, and I was like, oh, man, this is really, really good.
The tone of that film was genius. But, again, it just drops off kind of like this. At the end, it's like, you're falling off on me, bruh.
Because something happens at the end where I wonder if as like a smaller house they're giving people like quote unquote too much freedom. If it's the O'Doyles or O'Poyles, whatever. Because it seems like this almost feels like someone said, I don't know if I'm ever going to have a chance to make a horror movie again. We have to put every horror movie thing in this movie. We have to make it Satanists and ghosts and like dreams and like not real things and like real bad things. It has to be all the things.
It seemed to me like too many things were cut for different types of trailers. Like, we got to film all these things. That way we can do a trailer where it's ghosts. We could do a trailer where it's this. We could do a trailer where it's that.
You're supposed to cut those things out of the final cut of the movie, though.
I believe you're supposed to. Yes.
You're not supposed to leave them all in the movie for us to just enjoy constantly.
Yeah. So where did you land at the end of this movie? Like,
ooh, it's really, 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 really tough. Because like I said, I think it's super well made, but I can't land on the upper side of 5 for something that I think fell apart so much. So I have to start reducing points.
I did land on. I gave this one a flat 6 actually.
Whoa. Okay.
I like because I didn't. So I enjoyed certain parts of it.
Yeah.
A lot, and I thought it was worth watching, but it definitely fell apart. Like, I think this movie, in the version I have in my head, could have been like an 8.
Man.
But it wasn't there, and it's like. It beat a 5 for me because it is a competent movie.
No, it's
and
so good.
Any sins that it have are overridden by some of the great like technical parts of the film. Yeah. But it couldn't beat a 6.
I might be approaching it the wrong way then, because I was like, at the end of the day, at the end of the movie, there are parts of the movie that to me were like a 9 out of 10. Like, this is so good. I guess they should outweigh the ending. The ending is so fumbled that I can't imagine. In good, I'm having a lot of problems.
The ending is poor. If I were to rate it first 75% and then the last 25%, it's like an 8 for the first half, and the last half is like a 3.
It's like a 2 or a 3.
It's not a good ending. But like it's all still competently shot. The sound editing is fine.
Yeah.
The visuals
like
are creepy. It's just in context to the movie, the last 25% it doesn't match. It feels like you took 2 different movies and just spliced them together at the end.
I know, and I have to average it out. I'm not sure how to approach this because, like I've been saying, the first
it's a weird thing to have to come across.
Let me then highlight another scene when she goes in, when she sees the ants, and it's a big dream sequence, and she goes into her son's room, and they have the whole thing, like reminded me of my mom again or whatever. But how it keeps cutting back, and like they're arguing or they're talking or whatever, and she says like, I never wanted to be your mother or whatever, and all this crazy stuff. And then it like subtly, not so subtly, as it's cutting back and forth, suddenly he's wet, and then it cuts back, and then she's wet, and then you hear of like the match, and it's that story of when she was sleepwalking and almost like burned them both alive and all that stuff. Like as a metaphor and as a literal and as a thing where I don't know if she's crazy or what's really happening or not. It was like so good. That is so good. That Toni Collette, the actress, was amazing in this. I love this so much.
I had an issue with that when they talked about that scene, like the scene you're referencing them talking about. So it
should have come after, I think.
She says you were covered in she was covered in gasoline. The 2 kids were covered in gasoline. She was able to light the match and then put it out real quickly. Yeah. I feel like if you're covered in gasoline and light a match, paint thinner, the fumes regardless are.
You would think. I don't know.
I would have liked a little bit of fire.
Someone should have like a scar or something like that, like a burned thing. Who knows?
Something. I don't know.
The ending is so good.
Or just
the
say,
beginning is so well
like,
done.
they stopped me before I lit the match. Like, and then I would be like, okay.
Well, they use the match as like that's what like knocked me out of my stupor or something.
Yeah, because
like
I'd be engulfed in flames.
But the way she says, so like number one.
If I was the lady she told that story to, though, if I wasn't a crazy Satanist, I'd be like, oh, we have to end right now. You're done.
Oh, sorry, Lemon Square.
Cutting you off.
Leave. Yeah. No, I know. Because the way she delivers it, where it's like, and they'll never forgive me because I did it while I was asleep. The way she said it, I was like, oh God, like that was so perfectly. Perfect, like so perfect to evoke the kinds of feelings that I think that they're trying to evoke. I just wish the ending hadn't been so goofy and shitty.
Yeah,
man.
Had they even skipped over everything from the dad dying and it immediately became about there are crazy naked people in our house, that might have been better.
Honestly, to leave out some of the more extreme paranormal stuff.
I think that's where they really started falling off.
I think it should have ended off.
So Benny Hill chase scene up into the attic and then, like, being thumped by a flying idiot.
That's a good synopsis.
Who ultimately gets in the attic anyway and then just...
Yeah. No, I think that it should have ended off where the ritual's complete. We're not sure what really even happened, right? We're not very clear about stuff, right? The like, not the A story, like the public story, right? But, oh, tragic, mental illness runs it, in the family. A series of tragedies just broke this woman. She kills her husband, right? Everything can make sense in like real life or like whatever, right? And then at the end, the boy is just like clicking his tongue, and you're like, wait a minute, what's going on, or something like that, right? Because the daughter possesses the mom, and now this is happening, and all this different. You just have this like thing where you're not sure, right, what's going on, or something like that. Or
it ends in such a way where the cult does do all the things they did.
Yeah.
They take the son away, and now the mother is left alive though, and she has to face all this.
Oh
like,
yeah,
well, where's your son? I didn't do anything. We found the husband. He's burned alive. Oh my God! What do you mean?
Yeah. No, yeah. In my version, I'm not sure if the mom even dies or whatever, or how that all works. But
in any event, there are many better ways to end this than it did end.
I would have liked it to be that that thing where like it all snaps into place, and like the cops have a version of like events where the mom went crazy when her daughter died. She started reading all these weird books from her from her dead mother, dug up the body, did all these things, right? Even though she's like, I didn't do that, but then you as the audience are like, what, is she just crazy and thinks she didn't do that? Who were all those naked people? Were they even there? And you just have this weird thing, right? And even with the son, you could be like, well, this extreme mental illness runs in the family, so maybe even the stuff that he can corroborate is crazy.
And he could have been broken by killing his sister,
Yeah. It would all have been this nice thing just as it was, right? And maybe it was still supposed to be, but it didn't work like that for me.
No.
I think it was just literally what it is.
How we landed on the lower scores today.
I was going to go like 4 because like it fell apart so much for me.
I don't think that's
the
super
beginning
inaccurate.
is so well done though that I feel like that score like papers over so much good work.
Based on our history of how we rate things, that's more in line with what I would expect of you from this one. Because we rate things differently.
Okay. I don't know what that means. I feel attacked. I feel personally attacked. I don't feel attacked at all.
You tend to rate lower than I do, so you're 2 points lower than mine. Makes sense.
I see. No, yeah, I was so like you should watch this if you've made it this far and you care about our recommendations. This is really well done. There's a lot of good stuff here, but I can't, in good conscience, sign off on it because there's so many other movies that don't fall apart in the third and a half act, right? That I can't just give it a pass.
But there are also a lot of movies that they don't fall apart at the end, but they're also not as good in the beginning.
Yeah, exactly.
Things all average out.
It's so hard.
Yeah, but I think this is worth watching, but know you're going into it with horrible issues.
Yeah.
If you haven't already seen it, I would imagine if you're watching this, you've already seen the movie.
Yeah,
if not, it's been ruined for you. Enjoy.
It's partially a recommendation, it's partially like a deconstruction, but no, so much of that stuff, the framing device of her with the miniatures, like you said, and how the daughter is also doing miniatures, but in this like twisted, perverse way where she's like going to glue the dead bird's head to something or whatever, like. Perfect. So much of this is perfect that I wish there wasn't flying headless corpses and naked people at the end.
Indeed. All right, guys, so that's our thoughts on this. Let us know in the comments what you thought about it. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next time.
Hello, internets. I just love watching JustDaggers. If you've enjoyed this video as much as I have, click that subscribe button. Peace out, homies.